the 6 insane benefits of vinegar.
Vinegar.
So vinegar has been used in folk medicine for centuries at this point. It's something that is formed as a byproduct of fermentation. So anybody who's ever left wine sitting too long, for example, which in and of itself is a byproduct of fermentation, right? The creation of ethanol or alcohol, will notice that the wine begins to taste like balsamic vinegar in a sense, right? Anyone who's ever brewed kombucha by themselves knows that part of the flavor profile of kombucha involves vinegar. And what is vinegar? It's acetic acid. So whether we're talking about red wine vinegar or apple cider vinegar or balsamic vinegar or even rice vinegar, acetic acid is the primary sort of ingredient that we refer to as vinegar colloquially. Similar to alcohol, right? You can look at tequila, you can look at bourbon, you can look at vodka. Ethanol is the primary alcoholic ingredient, regardless of what spirit we're talking about. So similar concept with vinegar. One of the most well-documented benefits of vinegar consumption, so the first benefit, is that it can reduce a postprandial blood sugar spike when consumed concurrently or after a high starch or sugar meal. They've used white bread in these kinds of studies, but essentially how it works is vinegar disrupts the enzymes that break down starch in your stomach. These are called disaccharide enzymes, which break down sugar molecules that are essentially linked, and prevents them, or at least slows the breakdown, and that mitigates the rate at which we absorb that sugar. So it can reduce the postprandial blood sugar spike, which is a good thing for people looking to manage blood sugar, right?
Right. So if you consume vinegar either with your meal or after your meal, a meal especially high in starch, it can help decrease the blood glucose spike.
Yes.
From that meal.
Yeah. And this occurs via a sort of, there's an inverse dose effect, meaning the more vinegar you consume, the higher, the more potent this effect is. So one way to integrate vinegar into a meal is simply to integrate it into a salad dressing, right? If you're eating a salad, for example, you can also make a number of different sauces utilizing vinegar. But we actually also like to just mix it into a beverage, like have a tablespoon or two of vinegar diluted with some water. You generally want to dilute it. The water is not going to decrease its efficacy, but it will help save your teeth.
Okay.
Because vinegar can degrade enamel.
So we're not like taking apple cider vinegar shots
at
the dinner table.
Yeah, it could also burn your esophagus.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't want to do that.
Okay.
So diluted vinegar, I think, is smart.
And just incorporating it into your meal.
It's a very strong acid. Yeah, incorporating it into your meal.
Into your meal to help decrease that
blood sugar spike.
If
managing glucose is something that's important to you, and it should be for many people, right? We don't want to pathologize physiologic glucose spikes, right? Like, so it's not like eat an apple, you've got to suddenly start taking it with vinegar shots, you know? But no, I think this can be helpful, and a lot of people have glucose tolerance issues. And vinegar is one of these like folk medicine tools that's been used for centuries to help people with blood sugar issues help better manage their blood sugar.
Now I'm like thinking of, you know, like in Italy where you dip balsamic vinegar, like your bread in balsamic vinegar. It's probably just flavor profile, but like it's beneficial too as you eat your bread to decrease that insulin or glucose spike.
Yeah, and actually you made me think of something really important. Different vinegars have different benefits aside from the fact that acetic acid is generally healthy. Balsamic vinegar is rich in polyphenols. It has a compound in it called DMB, actually, like the band. But this is a compound.
I don't know that band.
Dave Matthews Band.
Oh.
God, Gen Zers, I'm telling you.
I'm a millennial, but I've never heard of it as, it's always been Dave Matthews Band.
No, people refer to Dave Matthews Band as DMB.
You guys get that bonus fact too.
Not exclusively so, but
okay.
We're getting off topic. So DMB has been shown to help support gut health, particularly in the context of high meat diets that are rich in animal protein can support gut bacteria and help mitigate the conversion of carnitine in meat to trimethylamine N oxide, or TMAO, which is this interesting compound that's been sort of studied for its relationship with cardiovascular disease. The science, the jury is way out on that, but it's thought that this compound can help support gut health.
Because you like to have balsamic vinegar with your steaks, right?
I do sometimes. That's a Tuscan way of eating meat. Yeah, you can drizzle your steak with extra virgin olive oil. Yeah.
Like flaky salt. Okay, well, that's a strong number 1. I don't know how we're going to follow that up with 5 more, but we're going to.
Well, number 2 is related. So vinegar can also help reduce the postprandial insulin spike. So if there's a smaller blood glucose excursion, then your pancreas is going to require secreting less insulin to clear that sugar from your blood. So all things considered, a smaller insulin area under the curve is thought to be a good thing because insulin is a powerful growth hormone. It's also the primary fat storage hormone. This doesn't mean that vinegar is going to help reduce fat storage if you're over your energy balance for the day. But all things being equal, less insulin to do the job is thought to be a positive thing.
Okay, cool. So it's helping reduce glucose and therefore insulin as well.
Yeah, so that's the second benefit.
Okay. 3?
The third benefit actually may help with weight loss, and that vinegar has been shown in a number of small studies to promote feelings of satiety, to reduce appetite. So it's a natural appetite suppressant.
Okay, so I have a question on this. Like, when do you need to take it? Like, is that another thing where we're just incorporating it into our meal? Because before, to like reduce that spike, we were either taking it with our meal or after.
Yeah.
But to help reduce satiety, when should we take it?
To increase satiety, you want to
increase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could take it before. You could take it during. It really doesn't matter when you take it, but it seems to promote satiety, to reduce appetite.
Okay, so maybe like an ideal would be like start your meal off with a salad with a vinegar based dressing.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Vinegar is like one of my favorite flavors.
It's great.
Yeah, I love it on anything pretty much.
Yeah.
You can saute mushrooms with a little bit of balsamic vinegar. Vinegar. I mean, when I poach eggs, I put a little bit of white distilled vinegar in the pot.
Yeah.
When you're poaching eggs, adds like a really nice flavor. Lots of great things that you could do with it.
Okay. So number 4.
So number 4, vinegar has been shown to stimulate a nutrient sensing pathway called AMPK, adenosine monophosphate kinase, in the body, which is basically a protein that gets activated during low energy states and during fasting and during high intensity interval training. These are all stress states. So vinegar seems to stimulate this pathway that's thought to be essentially a longevity pathway. It increases glucose utilization, fat burning. It strengthens our mitochondria, so the energy generating organelles of cells.
Powerhouse.
Yeah, AMPK is a very powerful pro-longevity agent. In fact, metformin is a drug that is prescribed for type 2 diabetes, but it's also being studied for its pro-longevity effects. And one of the mechanisms by which metformin works is by stimulating AMPK.
Oh, interesting.
And vinegar has been shown to do essentially the same thing.
Cool.
Not necessarily to the same degree,
right?
But it has an effect on this pathway, which is very, very interesting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So that would be number 4. Number 5, I think vinegar there, insofar as it helps to better digest food, because it is an acid. A lot of people struggle with low stomach acid, so chlorhydria. Reduced levels of stomach acid. Vinegar can help as a digestive aid when you consume it concurrently with your food. I know there are a number of drinks on the market now that utilize vinegar, all with the intent of helping to support digestion. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of using it for that purpose.
For digestion.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So last and final one, 6.
Well, insofar as vinegar, I think, helps to prevent the breakdown of starch and carbohydrates, that can be a good thing. I don't know if I don't think we know as a species, as a in terms of the scientific literature, whether or not vinegar can reduce the caloric load of high starch foods. I don't think we know that yet.
Okay.
But I think that it's plausible that by inhibiting our ability to break down starches and sugars, it might actually inhibit our ability to absorb some of those starches, some of that sugar, which then what that I think implies that it could potentially convert these starches to a form of resistant starch that might benefit gut bacteria down in the large intestine. So this is just me speculating.
Yeah.
That would be my hypothesis, but we do know that vinegar does help to inhibit the breakdown of
Interesting.
these macronutrients.
So another reason to dip bread in balsamic vinegar.
Another reason to dip bread. Yeah.
If you're going to do bread.
I guess we could throw in a seventh bonus, and we touched on it earlier, but the different the benefits of different vinegars. You know,
Okay.
like balsamic vinegar
Yeah, let's
has
get into it.
Yeah, what we've mentioned. Apple cider vinegar we didn't talk about. Apple cider vinegar has the mother. It's a good source of prebiotics. You know, a lot of polyphenols.
So what do you mean mother?
So when you ferment apple cider to create apple cider vinegar,
okay,
you sometimes will get this like gooey, stringy,
like a
mucusy sort of thing in the vinegar, and that's referred to as the mother.
Okay.
And it's rich in polyphenols and organic acids, and polyphenols actually have a prebiotic effect for gut bacteria
within the mother.
Within the mother and within the vinegar itself.
The vinegar itself.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. You're fermenting apple cider, so the fermentation process reduces the sugar.
Mm-hmm.
So apple cider would normally have a ton of sugar.
Yep.
And you're reducing that sugar, and you're leaving all of the important phytochemicals that are also present in apple cider. You're reducing the sugar, you're creating the acetic acid, but what's left are those polyphenols, which are thought to provide health benefit.
Okay, so that's apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
What about like red wine vinegar?
Red wine probably also has polyphenols, and also red wine vinegar is the most commonly used vinegar, probably along with balsamic vinegar, but in Mediterranean cooking. I know that red wine vinegar is big in Greek cuisine, and we know that the consumption of the Mediterranean diet is associated with better cardiovascular health, better neurologic health. And red wine vinegar and balsamic vinegar are staples.
Yeah.
Every culture has their sort of preferred vinegar. It's interesting. In Japan, you'll see a lot of rice vinegar, no balsamic vinegar, essentially no red wine vinegar. They use rice vinegar. But every culture has its sort of twist on it. And I think part of that has to do with, yes, the health benefits and the folk medicine aspect of it, but also vinegar is a well-known preservative. So before the advent of refrigerators and freezers, right, we had to find ways of effectively preserving our food. Otherwise, it would go bad. And vinegar is a well-documented preservative. People might recognize this in their own kitchens. I mean, so I, in the back of my fridge, you'll probably find at least a bottle or two of pickles that have been there seemingly for months, right? But they don't go bad because pickles are pickled in brine.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think they'll go bad at some point, but
maybe. I remember I had a bottle of pickled okra in my fridge for, if not 6 months longer. And I was curious to see if they had gone bad. And I took the risk and I ate one, and it was perfect.
It was perfect.
It was perfect. It was
and you were fine after.
And I was fine after.
Still here.
Still here. That's a very powerful preservative.
Yeah.
You can also use vinegar. Man, should we offer 8? Vinegar is a great...
I lost track.
Vinegar is a great home cleaning.
When you mentioned white, like distilled white vinegar, I was like brightening your sheets.
Yeah. Well, I use it in my laundry. I put it in my laundry. There's a bleach dispenser. I put vinegar in there instead of bleach.
Okay.
And it's great for whitening whites and brightening colors too. Yeah. It's phenomenal.
Interesting. I didn't know it was for both.
Yeah, it's for both. And you can use it in the wash portion of the wash, right? But you can also use it in the rinse portion as a fabric softener. It's great.
In the rinse portion?
Yeah. Once it dries, there's no vinegar scent or anything like that. It's a great fabric softener. Very interesting, right?
Yeah.
But you could also dilute it and use it as a spray to spray down your countertops.
Yep.
It's got antimicrobial effects. Again, think about the fact that vinegar is a preservative, right? It's antimicrobial.
Yeah. Interesting. Before we wrap up, I want to ask one thing. I always like to incorporate trends. And for a little bit, taking apple cider vinegar shots was a trend. It still might be, or people mixing it with lemon juice and honey to take it, and cayenne. What you're saying is to gather those benefits of vinegar. It doesn't need to be taken in quote unquote shot form. Like you can just incorporate it into your mealtime via salad dressing, flavoring, all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
In my new cookbook, Genius Kitchen, I actually also have a recipe for a really tasty beverage
Okay.
called the Vinigambini.
Mhm.
So for people looking for a really refreshing, tasty vinegar-based beverage to incorporate at mealtime,
Yeah.
but also to drink any time of day, you can pick up Genius Kitchen, and you'll find a recipe for the Vinigambini. Hey, if you like that video, you need to check out this one here, and I'll see you there.
A lot of the foods that are exceptional for you, it's in how is it being prepared and delivered for someone to fall in love with it and then be able to also fall in love with how they feel when they're on it as well.